Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. We believe Jesus and believe the warnings he gave to us in the Bible about our environment.
Ever wonder why he warned us?
Maybe he knew how much we'd change it in the last 100 years.
Maybe he knew how we'd handle the environment.
Experiment.
Thinking we can do anything to it that we want with no problems.
Maybe he knew we'd uncover and move huge amounts of weight, change any river into a heavy reservoir of water.
Build here or there with heavy steel and concrete, and how we keep ignoring questions, just assuming that our environment would support whatever we did.
And maybe Jesus knew that all this weight transfer would trigger some kind of reaction.
Ever wonder about earthquakes? What sets them off?
Can they move from one area to another?
Ever wonder this? Why do expert scientists debate about earthquakes increasing? Some say they are, others say they're not. So, which is it? Who's right? Who's wrong?
Expert scientists who study Earth used to argue that the sun traveled around our planet. A few hundred years ago, with better telescopes, experts finally learned Earth goes around our sun. No more argument.
As late as the 1930s, experts who thought they knew all the basics still argued whether or not surgeons should wash their hands before an operation. With better microscopes, they finally could see the germs, which had been lurking there unseen during each and every argument. They don't argue about that anymore either.
But with our Earth, scientists can't really examine how it works in any great detail. We can't dissect it. Its construction is hidden deep under our feet. We can't really crawl around down there. Better microscopes and telescopes can't help us.
So, are we responsible for any earthquakes?
Will they get worse, like the Bible warns?
Where opinion thrives, there's always a lack of knowledge. When our limited science is able to prove something, opinions get buried and die off.
No more argument because you finally know.
Maybe that's why Jesus warned us what was coming. He loves us, and he knows we're not as smart as we think we are, especially about how we affect the environment.
Jesus knows our environment, inside and out. He designed it, engineered it, fit it together to support life.
Jesus also knows that at a certain point in time, our technology, with its detrimental changes to our environment's basic structure, will cause one earthquake
After another.
until
Our world is changing. Yes, we've always had earthquakes. Some have been more devastating than others. But now, we're having earthquakes in places that were never known to have them. In all parts of the globe we call our home, the number of earthquakes, small and large, are on the rise. There is disagreement on how much. By some accounts, the number of major earthquakes has increased nearly 10 times, from 5 or 6 a year to 50. Geology experts don't agree on the exact numbers, but they do seem to agree that there's no explanation for the increase. Whether earthquakes have doubled or tripled, something is causing more and more earthquakes, which show no sign of stopping. Could it be us?
all of these blocks have weight. You can move them however you like. Put them here or there. You could expect each one to stay right where you put it, but what if you actually had been moving them on some hidden surface, one sensitive to shifts in weight? A natural law takes over.
We've moved a lot of blocks around on our Earth in the last 100 years. Blocks of immense industrial weight. What are they? Well, one could be oil. We've moved a lot of that.
How about dams and the weight of the water they hold back? There are small dams and dams that are much, much bigger.
What about coal? All that digging, mining, shipping it to other places?
And how about cities? Complex networks of heavy cement and steel knit together by our ingenuity.
Industrial blocks, put anywhere we wanted to put them in just the last 100 years.
Just the last 100 years. One amazing century.
Inventing cars.
Television, computers, but our greatest invention?
The technology to lift more and more weight.
And to move it faster and faster.
Geologists keep working on their theory. They think that the outer surface of our Earth is kind of like a shell, built in large sections called plates. Earth's gravity pulls inward and the plates rub against each other along fault lines. When the edges get stuck, then jerk free, the ground shakes. That's their theory: moving plates, edges, gravity. Now, since gravity and balance are so important to our environment, what if we built a large, heavy city on this side of a plate? And mine coal from the other side and ship it off somewhere? Could there be a reaction? Since 1910, we've been building, digging, drilling, shipping. We've changed the surface weight and balance in very big ways. How big? Maybe enough to trigger more and more reactions. Maybe enough to change things in even bigger ways. And maybe we've moved so much weight that one last straw could trigger the biggest reaction of all.
Just 100 years ago, our mining tools were simple picks and shovels, but as the coal industry grew, we needed bigger and bigger and bigger shovels. Today, we use huge mining machines to keep pace with the demand for coal, digging and moving 1 million tons a week, mined from where it was, then shipped away for many uses. So what does the last 100 years of coal mining look like? If we pretend to fill a former World Trade Tower with the weight related to our coal production, we'd have to fill another and another and make a wall of towers about 30 towers wide. Then we'd have to fill another wall of 30 towers and another 30 and just keep going. Standing 30 towers across, our structure of towers would start in New York and cross the entire country to Los Angeles. You may think that's a lot of weight, moved from here to there in just 100 years, but it's only 14% of total world coal production. Add it all together. As total world mining moves more and more weight, how do you think Earth might react?
Streams of fresh water flow across our Earth on every continent. It's the lifeblood of our environment. But nature's free flow became restricted starting in 1910. As our technology grew, we built more and more dams to help control flooding and make electricity. Our dams have been built in all shapes, all sizes. We built them wherever we wanted to harness the flowing water. Anywhere to do us the most good. Anywhere to generate hydroelectric power to help develop and energize local economies. We built them anywhere that politicians and engineers agreed would be an economic advantage. As the century moved forward, so did our need for electricity, with more lights, appliances, and other inventions. We even re-engineered and added on to some existing dams to generate more power. In some areas, economic demand for hydroelectric required vast populations to pick up and move in order to submerge ancient homelands of villages and cities, hills and valleys. In this country, we have over 3 million miles of rivers and streams. Following 1910, the building of dams traveled westward and steadily increased. In just 100 years, we now have many dams, approximately 75,000. We move tons of dirt and rock, multiplied by tons of concrete and steel. But it's the reservoir, the water held back, that makes the heaviest environmental impact. Water is very dense, very heavy. What if we took all the reservoir water held back by our dams and spread it out across our entire country? How deep would that water be? Amazingly, about 26 inches. 26 inches deep, from one end of the nation to the other, deep enough to be above our knees. That's a tremendous shift in weight, and yet thousands more dams have been built all over the world. Only 10% have been built in the United States. Add up all the dams and reservoirs. How much weight have we gathered and concentrated onto the plates that support us? And where have we put that weight? We put it anywhere we wanted to.
One of our most astounding achievements of the 20th century has been learning how to place one thing on top of another in new ways. We improved our ability to stack with new technology, new engineering developments, new construction methods, all of which has enabled us to reach new heights in the last 100 years. Since ancient times, we have stacked to create poetic architectural statements for our legacy. And we have stacked to contain business offices and to guard the private operation of government institutions. We've stacked to survive in the wilderness and to give thanks for our continued existence. We've stacked stone and wood to build small community businesses. And we stacked wood and brick to expand budding international industries. Stone, wood, and brick limited the height of our buildings until 1910. Steel came on the scene, strong, economical. Steel brought with it newer and newer ways to fasten and support one beam above another. Today, we think little about adding height. Now able to reach skyward, steel construction has brought us to the point where a whole family can live on top of another family, on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. Stacking technology lets us multiply the use of one small parcel of ground. But what does our newfound ability to stack this high actually weigh? Do our new methods of stacking such immense weight in small areas have any effect on our environment? In just the last 100 years, we've stacked heavy cities across the world by moving, molding, concentrating the natural weight of minerals into steel, concrete, and glass, stretching for miles. Countless cities have been built around the world, becoming taller and taller in the last 100 years. 50 stories tall, 100 stories tall. urban islands of ingenuity sprout along shorelines and elsewhere, suddenly rising in stark contrast to centuries past. We tailor modular architecture in predictable patterns around Earth, while still attempting to reach the heavens. City and building engineers around the world have decided that this is the acceptable way to stack. And because we now can, we do this everywhere. Stacked cities are clusters of monolithic engineering, with stalwart sentries guarding small treasures of land under their impressive height and weight. The last 100 years of stacking has provided high-rise homes for increasing populations, and our new stacking technology has increased office space for thriving businesses. Will this stacking approach help us to rise above our urban challenges, or propel our environment and each one of us toward the biggest challenge yet? "100 years ago, most of this didn't exist. We've stacked places to live and places to work. Today, our stacks can be 150 stories tall or more. Unconcerned, we continue to stack massive tonnage on small sections of ground all over the world, as shown by this composite satellite photo of cities at night. How is it affecting us? One day, everyone will know.
Since Roman times, we've burned oil to light our way, using a variety of containers. 2,000 years later, we invented a new container to burn oil, but this one was attached to another oil-burning contraption made of brass, steel, leather, copper, rubber, and adventure. Burning oil in the automobile added to our social activities and moved us quickly from here to there. It changed our future, leaving the past further and further behind. And further below, as we learned how to burn oil in places some said would never happen, launching ourselves above the earth toward the heavens. With more demand, instead of one oil well, we needed two. Where drilling for oil made an impressive show of it, investors noticed, and their interest increased, and increased, and increased even more. There was so much interest on land, we learned to drill for oil at the bottom of lakes, and later at the bottom of oceans. As our drills marched onward into new territory, tireless pumps remained behind to pull burnable treasure up from beneath our feet. And today, in some places, neighboring pumps pepper the land and number nearly 10,000, a scene repeated around the world. From these drill sites, we used to fill and transport oil in barrels. But with today's production, we keep the flow moving fast as possible, with lengthy chains of railway tankers, nimble fleets of tanker trucks, one after another, and high-capacity tanker ships sailing around the world, docking at seaside ports, where huge pumps engineered to offload a ship in a matter of hours pipes the raw oil to giant refineries where it's separated into gasoline, diesel fuel, lubricants, and other useful compounds. The process keeps moving with over 700 refineries that operate non-stop, 24 hours a day, all over the world. The gasoline portion gets trucked to local gas stations where we can fill our tanks to burn in our engines so we can drive to work each day in greater and greater numbers. Today, we burn enough oil to fly night and day in sleek winged containers that fill the sky. Oil also found a new use in the making of plastics, boxes, bags, bottles, an endless array of containers. In the last 100 years, our dependence on oil has grown. The century had just begun when our desire to burn oil became our greatest passion. Our newfound technologies were thirsty for oil, lapping up every drop that could be supplied, trillions of barrels. Our need for oil consumed us, overshadowed us. Because we did this so fast in just 100 years, could we be overlooking anything? We still measure world oil production by the barrel, and a typical tanker truck may hold 200 barrels. If we filled another tanker with 200 barrels, and another, putting them end to end, would world oil production circle the earth? Yes, in fact, more than just once, more than twice. The trucks would continue to circle the earth again and again, over 5,000 times. We've moved a lot of weight from where nature put it to where we wanted it, and we're still drilling, moving it faster and faster and larger quantities, with no environmental awareness and no plan for what we're doing. Only Jesus knows the answer.
For as long as anyone knows, Earth has been spinning round and round at about 1,000 miles per hour. Kind of like a wheel. Hundreds of years ago, wheel makers knew that the more evenly they distributed the weight around the axis, the smoother the ride. But in the last 100 years, we developed technologies that have repositioned massive amounts of weight around our axis. We still do. Every day we move heavy resources from where they were and concentrate that weight in new places on our spinning Earth, anywhere we like. We do this more and more, faster and faster. Suddenly, after thousands of years, natural weight distribution around the axis is being changed, forcing the spin to be uneven. The result? Any wheel maker can tell you, more shaking, more vibration. So where is our environment headed?
These and other environmental warnings were told to us by the creator of physics, the master of technology, the one who engineered our planet. He loves us and knew that one day our infant grasp of science and cutting-tooth industry would put us in direct conflict with the simplest physics of our gravitational environment. Can we put the weight back where it was? Or stop moving weight tomorrow, thinking we can control the outcome? Or did Jesus warn us for a reason?
We didn't know and shifted the balance.
We didn't know and changed the distribution of weight.
Adding stress, thinking our environment could handle it.
We can't go back.
But we can go forward.
Using advanced biotechnology, part of our genetic makeup since our beginning.
Truth is, there are germs.
Ask Jesus to help you wash them off.
Tell you his escape plan.
And show you your next move.